Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the History of Fan Anime. I'm your host, William Chow, and today's episode is going to be a fun one. I'm going to get back into the topic of fansubbing and what modern technology has helped do with fansubbing. Now, again, I've shown in the last couple episodes, some of the stuff that I've been goofing around with AI and that kind of stuff. And I came across the concept of something that I actually thought of like the way back when I was making episodes about you know fansubbing is dead and how we are really working towards a universal translator, and I decided to revisit that topic again with this new sort of knowledge about how AI is progressing, and then yes, I decided, okay, well, what has AI done to help do things like fansubbing? And so that's what I'm going to explore in this episode today. So before I begin, I want to go remind people down below, click like and click subscribe. And again, anything that you do like that does help the YouTube algorithm and does recommend this video to other people. And this is a kind of a cool episode where we're getting back into the old concept of doing things like translations of things that are not normally possible, with technology hopefully making it possible, right? Again, and if you want to support me financially, I also have the super thanks button activated below, as well as the links for the PayPal and Patreon. Now, again, I'm getting ready for the next anime giveaway. I've already sort of clipped together some of the videos, so I've got a lot of really cool figurines coming up and a whole bunch of CDs. Basically, when I had the store, I packed a whole bunch of stuff up that was in my display case, and so now I brought some of that stuff back out. So I'm going to be making that available for free as part of the anime giveaway. So again, if you want a higher priority in the giveaway list, you want to basically get on the Patreon or the PayPal to make sure that you get a priority pick. Okay. And so I'm getting ready to release that at around, basically when it hit the 350 episode mark, which is getting really, really close. All right, so do check that out. I'm also put more of the instructions on how to do media trades and that kind of stuff, and I've put that information on the Patreon. So again, even if you don't want to donate something or anything, or join on any of the tiers, you can still go to the Patreon and sign up for free and at least get that information, if in case you're interested in some of the stuff that's available on that. Okay, and today's episode really kind of relates to that because there's a lot of Japanese programming and that kind of stuff that's available, and this is just one of those things I really wanted to get translation done, because I just wanted to understand what was going on. Okay, so we'll get back to the topic today, which is fansubbing and that kind of stuff with the modern era. Okay, now I said in a previous episode that the whole concept of fansubbing is not really is dead, because of the fact that eventually we're going to get to a point where the computers are fast enough, the AI is going to be fast enough that we're going to be able to instantaneously subtitle and get captions and that kind of stuff at real time on stuff like on basically stuff like these video programs and that kind of stuff. Now, the example I showed was basically how YouTube can do closed captioning of this video right now. So for example, if you press that CC button right now, you'll see English captions of me speaking here, and it's all done in real time. I didn't do any of the captioning or that stuff in advance. I didn't do any typing or anything like that. I'm just sort of making it up as I go along, right? And the YouTube algorithm is automatically, translating that into, or transcribing that into words or subtitles, in case you feel like reading this instead of listening to this. Okay, so I knew that it was the start of something. Okay, and so I decided to revisit it recently, and to see if technology has progressed any further, see where we are at with the technology, right? So I decided to go and on this process of trying to figure out, hey, can I take a Japanese program? Okay, just whether it's anime or whether it's a documentary or maybe it's an interview with some music artists that I'm interested in. Can I take something like that, get YouTube to do something fancy with it or whatever, and make it come out in English or something, so I can understand what's going on, again, theoretically in real time, whatever. And apparently it's not as easy as I thought, but it's still pretty easy. Okay, so I'm going to go through this episode to show you what I have done, and then you can then I'll also post the sort of the end result, shall we say, as well as the video. So again, if you want to see the result of of one of the trials, you can see down below. And do check it out, because it's a pretty interesting topic. The topic I decided was actually really something I've always wanted to know. I remember I saw it when I was really early, when I was doing my YouTube channel, well, probably like 4 or 5 years ago. I remember seeing it, and I thought, hey, this is pretty cool. I don't know what they're talking about, but I had an idea, kind of, because I kind of followed the conversation, but I didn't really get a lot of the key points. And of course, in this sort of thing, the subtleties are the important part, especially when it's in a conversational sort of manner. Anyway, so I won't say too much more about it. I'll just show you in the next little part. Okay, so without further delay, let's get into the actual process and what I've managed to find out for you. So this is the clip that I managed to find. It's basically a reunion episode where the voice actors for Hikaru, Madoka, and Kyosuke from Orange Road kind of got together again 20 years later after doing the Orange Road project. They came back together and they're gonna discuss and talk about old times and basically a big kind of questions and answers, etc. Thing. I thought, I remember seeing this a while ago, 5, 6, 7 years ago. I saw this and when it was actually still new, and and I thought, okay, this is great, but I really would like to understand what's going on. And so I thought, okay, hey, this would be a perfect sort of test bed type of thing. So instead of picking it like an anime, let's pick up something that totally hasn't been done. And let's see if we can take this and, throw it through various different algorithms, throw it through AI. Let's see if we can do the same sort of old-fashioned, fan subbing process to this, to see if we can, actually then now learn what exactly is going on during this interview, because this would be kind of interesting, right? Kind of to see what what everyone was sort of thinking, and what the kind of the the on the ground sort of thing from the actual VAs when they're actually doing it, right? Okay, so the first thing I decided to do is, first of all, let's just take the video and let's just upload it to YouTube and see what YouTube can do with it, and and using the same process. See if we can do it in reverse. So obviously now I'm going to take this program, load up there, and then you go into the menu options and you go to the subtitles, and you see if you can go from, let's say, Japanese dialogue or whatever, change it to English. Now here's where the problem occurs, is that there's no option available for this program when it's in Japanese. And I thought, well, this is bizarre, because it works pretty well when it's in English. Why not work? Why is it not working for Japanese? Theoretically, it should be possible that it would work in any language, right? Because Google should be able to handle all the different things for it. Well, apparently, it turns out that many of the languages are not available in transcription. Okay, according to the article that I later found, is that there's only 8 languages actually that are readily available for transcription. Okay, all the other ones, even if you went to try to click the CC button on the video, it'll just say the option is just not available. Okay, so I thought, okay, well, this is interesting. So let's see. Obviously, YouTube can't, doesn't automatically do it, especially in this particular case where we wanted the Japanese. This won't work. So we have to basically now try to figure out how to get the, the video transcribed. And the reason why you do that is because then that way it's already pre-timed out for you. So let's we're try to figure out how to get at least it transcribed. Okay, so after doing some searching around and trying different sites, one of the ones I found out that worked really well was something called TurboScribe. And TurboScribe is nice because, as shown here, it allows you to put in 3 different files
every single day, and the files can be up to 30 minutes long each. So this actually works pretty well. I mean, that means you could theoretically take, like, an anime episode of 30 minutes or whatever, and you could upload it to here, and it will transcribe it into Japanese for you, and you can do three of them. So fansubbing, that's perfect, right? Because you only need to do, like, theoretically one every, let's say, week, right? You can get your favorite show done every week, right? First stuff, okay, all right. So let's upload the file here, and then let it do the transcription, and then basically, once it's got the transcription of the thing, we can just take that file and download it as a SRT file. And the advantage of that is that the SRT file already has all the time points already pre-done for you, so you don't actually because when you think of how we used to do it back in the day, we had to do two major functions. A, we had to translate it, and B, we had to actually time it. Well, if you download the SRT file, you've already done all the timing, right? The AI has basically gone through and listened to all the voice patterns, and then basically it had basically taken all the Japanese dialogue that's there, transcribing it, and also marking all the points where the dialogue started and dialogue stopped. Okay, so it literally did all the work for you right there. Okay, all we now have to do is we have to now convert it from Japanese into English. That should be fairly easy, right? Okay, so now you can see when I load up the SRT file, you can see that it marks out exactly, from this particular time point to this particular time point, this is what gets said in Japanese. And you can see, from this point and this point, this is what he says, this next line, next line, next line. So it's all written out, it's already timed out, as I said, so it's very precisely down to hundredths of a second. It's all done out, and it has exactly what the person said in Japanese. At least as the AI, as clear as it could figure out, from the voice that it said. So obviously, the clearer it is, the more less obstructed by other voices. We can't have multiple people going at once, right? Because that'll confuse it. But I mean, in general, without the sound effects and that kind of stuff, in this sort of thing, there should be a nice sort of clear way to determine what people are saying. Anyway, so now we just gotta take this file here and throw it through Google Translate, and then it basically will figure it out. Now, I think the most efficient way I managed to do it was basically cut and paste each particular segment, put it into Google Translate, and then basically let it translate each little part, and then basically retype it back in into the right spot, rather than just trying to get it to do the entire file, because it totally messes up the file. So the slow process of basically cut and pasting and getting Google Translate to work on the several pieces, put it back in, it will make the thing very very easy and very obvious which titles belong to which parts. Now, the only problem, of course, is this. It's not perfect. Obviously, you have to kind of, because Google Translate can't determine things like subjects. Sometimes it doesn't get the subjects properly, because obviously the way Japanese is formatted, it doesn't always go by subject verb predicate type of sentences, right? Sometimes the way the wording of the sentence is done, the subject's implied, so therefore you don't know if it's a he, she, it, who, when, where, and that kind of stuff, right? So you kind of have to read it and kind of go through the situation by following the flow, and then figure out the subjects and that kind of stuff as you kind of go, right? That's just one sort of nicety. The other things you have to do is just frame of reference and whatnot. So go through that, and then basically transcribe all that back in, and that should then give you a working a transcribed file, which now has all the subtitles that should go when they are presented on the screen. So if you look at your files, you have the movie, which is, in this case, I named it as KOR1.mp4. So basically, that would be the raw Japanese file in MP4 format, and episode or segment 1, because you're only allowed up to 30 minutes per session. So this is the one part of it cut in a 30-minute session. Okay, and then you basically take that SRT file, which normally is a text file or a .doc or whatever, and you just save it as a standard plain text file. Okay, so if you're editing it in Microsoft Word or whatever, or you're using a word processor like text editor or whatever, you gotta make sure you save it as a plain text file, because it does not accept RTFs or docs or anything like that. It has to be a standard plain text .txt file. And then you rename that txt file so it has a .srt, and it has to have the same name as the MP4 file, right? So core1.srt. And then so if you take this and you throw it through a media player such as VLC or something like that, it knows that when you throw a name of a file to it, it also will look for that same name of file .srt, and then that way it'll then pull the subtitle file out and play it at the same time simultaneously with your video. Okay, and it knows to automatically resync it back up with time. So therefore, when you watch it, you can then watch this subtitle file and the video at the same time, and you'll get all that same sort of effect. And again, obviously, if you load it up to YouTube and you copy and paste the SRT file into the YouTube, you should then get also the same kind of effect, right? So this is a really, really quick. Well, I would say quick, I suppose, but it is a really relatively easy example of how you can, quickly get at least the subtitle file timed out. Sure, the translation may take a little bit longer and may take a few times to proofread it, and maybe a few times to kind of make sure the timing gives you enough time to read everything, because sometimes, obviously, even though when the person says the dialogue, sometimes they say it so quickly that maybe you need a few more fractions of a second or a second to left on the screen so that you can actually read it properly and whatnot. But for the most part, since we do all have pause and all this other stuff, these things are relatively minor little adjustments that we have to do. But for the most part, this is a pretty simple system, and the really cool thing all about this is that this can actually all be done for free. I mean, sure, you can pay for services that'll do it for you and that kind of stuff, but I mean, that kind of defeats the purpose of actually, going on this kind of sort of project. Because I mean, obviously, you could always, if you have, an unlimited amount of money, then you could just pay for the, a person or a Japanese company or whatever to actually just go ahead and make the subtitles for you. But the point is that on a purely fan sort of level, the technology now has it so that you can use free services and that kind of stuff to do all the work for you, or most of the work for you. You just maybe have to do some cutting and pasting, maybe just doing some slight bit of typing, whatnot. Because I mean, I think even with this thing, the transcription generated about 500 lines of text, so 500 pieces of dialogue, and it's just a matter of me punching all that dialogue through Google Translate. Took me about a couple hours, right? Maybe 3 hours or so to go through and key in all that dialogue, and but here we go. So this is just a small sample of what it looks like. I'll put the entire file down below, and you can watch it on with the full subtitles and that kind of stuff without the interruptions and all that kind of stuff below. All right. It's a useful interview because Orange Road is one of my favorite animes, and now we can actually go through this interview with the voice actors to see what their thoughts are, and some extra kind of content as related to Orange Road, and maybe some of the stuff that happened during the dubbing process and whatnot. So it's pretty cool. So it's definitely something worth checking out.
Okay, so I hope you found that really interesting. So again, with technology as progressing as fast as it is and that kind of stuff, even this process that I've got here is going to be streamlined much easier, and eventually AI will be able to, to take care of this process that I'm doing right now automatically, and we'll be able to, again, we won't really need to have the process of fan subbing because, as I said, the computers and the AI will theoretically do it for us, in, shall we say, real time. But for now, it's nice to know that this process does work, and we can still use the techniques of fan subbing to basically make available things that normally probably wouldn't be available to the rest of us. And just shows you that at least electronically, the globe is becoming a smaller and smaller place. All right, so. I'll be doing some more episodes, and of course, there's also a part 2 that I have to do to this because obviously this is only like half the video that was done here. But I'll get more of it, and then we'll continue on that. All right. So until next time, I will see you again.